Get your local news and weather with Lauren and Ron, weekdays at 5. This is KMAC Red Raider Nation's Countdown to Kickoff, sponsored by Covenant Medical Group Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Today's game between Texas Tech and Arizona is a whiteout at Arizona Stadium. The Red Raiders going to fit right in. Texas Tech going with the white jersey, white pants, and black helmet for today's meeting with the Wildcats. Back here on Red Raider Nation's Countdown to Kickoff, Texas Tech's defense looking good no matter what uniform they've worn in the first two games. The Red Raiders ranked second in the nation in third down conversion defense, tied for third in the country with Alabama in scoring defense. On the flip side, Arizona's defense not so good, giving up 43 points per game. Only 4 other teams in the country have given up more a game this season. One thing the Wildcats defense does better than the Red Raiders, though, is force turnovers. Arizona leads the nation with 8 turnovers gained. Keith Patterson's Red Raiders have yet to force one this season.
Yeah, we got to get get that goose egg off the board on the takeaway column. I mean, we're doing a lot of good things, but the one time that we do, pick the ball off Saturday night, we're offsides. I mean, that was disappointing, but, I think it'll come eventually, and we just got to keep emphasizing it and believing in what we're doing.
Meanwhile, seeing is believing for the Texas Tech special teams. Our Eric Kelly rejoins us now from Tucson with more on the freshmen that are getting the job done so far in the kicking and punting game.
Well, David, obviously when you talk about Texas Tech football, the first place you're going to go is the offense, and why not? And this year, a lot of chatter about a defense that, as we've talked about, is top 10 in the nation. But there's that third area that you need to be successful in, and that's special teams. Early on this year, Matt Wells didn't even want to talk about them. Not the case anymore, though, as they've actually been really solid. True freshman punter Austin McNamara is averaging just under 48 yards per punt, and redshirt freshman Trey Wolf is a perfect 13 for 13 on kicks, as the young Tech specialists seem to be adapting well to the college game.
The ability to do it in front of more people, Saturdays, learning how to play. Playing quarterback, similar. Kicking, that's a unique skill that those kids have done. Snapping, kicking, holding, kicking off their whole life. I think really all 3 of them have done well. We couldn't have had a better start for 2 true freshmen and a redshirt freshman. Trey's come out. He's gotten in a good rhythm. He's kicked off well. Austin's hung the ball up really, really good. And Luke, I think Luke's performed well. So all 3 of those guys I'm happy with.
As we've talked about with other areas of this team, though, this is really the first big test for those guys. Not many pressure-packed kicks or punts unless you're in a different type of desert, that being Las Vegas. And, of course, it's always different when you play your first Power 5 team, especially on the road under the lights. So we'll see how they step up and handle that. David?
Now time once again for our Covenant pregame report. Last week, 3 regulars not in the lineup. Offensive lineman Terrence Steele missing his second game of the season, and fellow O-lineman Jack Anderson also not suiting up against UTEP after leaving early in the season opener. Junior DeMarcus Fields also not playing last week against the Miners after playing in the opener. At Monday's press conference, head coach Matt Wells listing all 3 of them as day-to-day. Maybe some good news, though, for Steele. He's listed as a captain for today's game, so we could see him on the field for the first time this season. Joined now by Dr. Courtney Cowden. Doctor, thank you for joining us, first of all. Good news on the injury front for Alan Bowman. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. No news is good news for him. He's healthy. He's good to go. Meanwhile, a lot of Red Raider fans out there probably holding their breaths on Sunday afternoon when they're watching former Red Raider quarterback Patrick Mahomes go down with an ankle injury.
Well, anytime you got a guy, your quarterback especially, going down, it makes your heart stop a little bit. And then when you see him pop up and run back out there for the next series, you breathe a sigh of relief, but then you're always worried, like, what's really going on in the background. And it sounds like he had kind of a minor ankle sprain, which is a small stretch or maybe tear of some of the ligaments, probably on the inside part of his ankle. And a little athletic tape and a little bit of time, and it should be okay. It should be stable enough for him to walk on it and to plant, which is the important part when you're throwing, to get that foot planted, so whenever you're carrying forward, you got your momentum moving into the ball. Give him a couple weeks. I think he'll be good as new.
Good news for him. He still threw for almost 400 yards in the Chiefs' win, but now he's going to be without his top receiver, Tyreek Hill, in that game. And a very weird injury. He lands, and you think it maybe is a broken collarbone, but a completely different injury for him.
But yeah, it's really pretty rare. Most people haven't heard of it. It's called a sternoclavicular dislocation, which basically is the joint between your collarbone and your sternum, your chest bone. And it's a joint that can dislocate either forwards or backwards. Typically, it comes out forwards where the clavicle pops kind of out of your chest. And in that case, it's relatively easy to pop it back in. It still takes about 6 weeks to heal, but that's not the scary one. The real scary one is when it pops inside your chest because you got some important stuff back there. You got your heart and all those major blood vessels coming out of your heart. And if you can't get it popped back in and you got to go in and do surgery, it can be really tense, I'll say, because you don't want to get down into any of that major blood vessel area. In fact, when we do surgery in that area, we almost always have a heart surgeon standing right there ready to go in case we get into trouble.
Weird situation there. Of course, Red Raider fans kind of on a different level had to deal with Alan Bowman last year with that. Hopefully we don't have to talk about any of that stuff in the coming weeks. All right, we appreciate it, Doctor.
Right, thank you.
All right, stick around. When we return, Eric and I give you what to watch for in today's game. But first, Ron Roberts joins us to look at tonight's weather out in Arizona. Ron?
Well, David, of course, this is going to be a game late in the evening, at least for us anyway, in Arizona. But the monsoon season is in effect in that region. And because of that, the weather looks like it's going to cooperate with Texas Tech and Arizona. The temperature's only in the middle 80s. And the reason why is because there's going to be a few thunderstorms. And you don't see that word muggy very often when you think about Arizona. But that's exactly right. A few monsoon thunderstorms, a possibility for the Red Raiders and the Wildcats.